My Doctor Said What is a program for health information. Be careful that if you want treatment and diagnosis of disease, you need to go to your local healthcare provider.
Hi, this is Dr. Frank with My Doctor Said What? Out here at Paradise Ranch in the morning to give you some information today about workplace, home, and cosmetic hazards. Before that, some interesting facts. I'm not a big supplement guy. I'm a firm believer in one-a-day vitamins. Other than that, a few people might need some extra protein if they're trying to build muscle or they're high-performance athletes and that. But the average person, probably given their diet, can really benefit, especially if it's a woman, from calcium with vitamin D. The two together are important for bone calcification and preventing osteoporosis. But then also, I think a flaxseed. Most people don't eat a ton of salmon or things with a lot of omega-3 like nuts and that, or omega-6s, salmon, nuts, different things like that. So a tablespoon of flaxseed in your yogurt or something is awesome. It's awesome to do every day. Really helps with your skin, your overall health, your hair, and lowers your risk of having cholesterol issues and heart-related issues. So that's my quick recommendations. Also, I'd like to start by saying I just probably did my last scientific medical article of my career about PFAS. That's forever chemicals for the everyday person that we're having a lot in the news today. And I'd like to say that leads into some conversations about hazards in your workplace, your home, and in the products you use. So let's go number one. Number one is you breathe the air in your house or at your work all the time. So that's most important. Inhalation exposures, so where you're exposed to most things in large amounts or larger amounts, especially over time. So with that, there's some simple things you could do in your house. Number one, if you have an older house with lead paint, definitely paint over that. If you have asbestos, cover it if you find that in an inspection, or have it removed by authorized asbestos removal firm. But you're really better off covering it a lot of times so you don't disturb it. If it's not disturbed and the fibers aren't in the air, you're okay. Those are less common. Now, one thing, you have lead in a lot of the pipes in older neighborhoods that go from the municipal line to your house. There's all kind of, municipal water supplies do a great job. But unfortunately, there's just so many things, from used prescriptions that are put down the drain to people putting oil in their backyards to after oil changes, to all kind of pollution, agricultural pesticides, and they're not all bad, but uncontrolled, they can leach into groundwater. Municipal supplies that take it from groundwater and surface water can have those from them. All those things together add up. So the best way to do that is, first of all, bottled water many times is not better. It's tested. We did tests years ago at EPA, and it's as bad or worse than anything, and worse than tap water in many cases. And the big problem with that is you got plasticide. There's nothing wrong with drinking a bottled water when you're out on a picnic, stay hydrated or whatever. But on your everyday water use, from brushing your teeth to showering to drinking it in all your drinks directly or in the food you prepare, you need to really think about doing a little extra. And what I would consider doing is a good carbon filter. And there's reasonably priced filters that use carbon, and carbon removes most of the bad organics. And then like Brita or different ones you can buy, different, they say activated charcoal or carbon filters that go in under your sink or whatever. Those are nice for the water you drink and you cook with. Whole house systems that have activated carbon and reverse osmosis, which are a little more expensive, you could talk several $1,000s, but I'll say this: it's probably the most important investment you'll ever make on your drinking water if you drink a lot of water or prepare a lot of food at home, because you're reducing your exposure to chemicals by orders of magnitude over your lifetime. It's a really good investment in your health. I would say that's important, but the air you breathe, like I said, very important. Now, that's so much tougher to do something about that. First of all, change your air filters in your furnace and air conditioner every 3 months. That sounds ridiculous, but they're cheap, easy, and you don't necessarily have to have the really good ones, because you have to watch it on your system. Tells you how much filtration you can have. You don't want to overload your equipment. But just to change your normal filters helps a lot, because one of the problems you have is allergens and allergic reactions. It's really interesting. They really don't understand allergies. Whether you touch a piece of poison ivy or oak, or whether your cat has hair that causes a reaction, itchy eyes, rash on your skin, uh, sinus drainage, all those different things are caused by histamine release. And allergic reactions, or allergies to something, is when your body recognizes a normal protein or substance in the air as being abnormal to your body. So your immune system kicks in and produces histamine. That's why you get the rash, the watery eyes, all those different things. And that's funny, because you could touch poison ivy with your finger, but you can have a rash elsewhere on your body because it goes through your entire system. It's a systemic reaction. So don't think just because you touched it there. Now, that's the part you need to wash to get the oil off from the poison ivy plant to prevent it if you do it quickly. But what you're really going to have is a systemic reaction. Same way with if chigger bites you, you'll see a very intense welt where the chigger is, because it actually stays right there, but you can have other reactions to it. So just remember that. You want a good air filter will at least keep a lot of those things that are in the air, like cat hair, dog hair, different things in the air, dust, things that come into your house, down to a minimum, including the particles you have from traffic going by, particulates, small particles you can't see but come in. We're having a lot of wildfire smoke from Canada right now, and it's nice to be inside where you have an air filter. Now, for those that have really serious issues, you can get what's called a HEPA filter, which will filter out 99.999% of everything. Kind of expensive, overboard for most people. Usually when you're inside, it's far less exposure. So remember that. And when you work outside in your garage or something, whatever you do, if you're working with paints, any kind of varnishes, any chemical, from changing oil in your car, wear a mask. I know it's uncomfortable, it's not a lot of fun, but if you're going to do those kind of things, wear a decent mask. We got used to that. COVID masks are rated. If you don't know what to get, talk to your Home Depot or Lowe's person or Menards and find out what masks do what. You've got to filter that out. If you're working with an organic, you want to make sure that you're not exposed to that. When I started into graduate school, in the medical school, the average organic chemist only lived to be 52 years old, but because they used to wash their hands in benzene to clean them off and breathe all those different organic fumes, and they ended up with leukemia and all types of diseases that are caused by those type chemicals. The forever chemicals you hear a lot about, like PFAS, those are PFAS or PFOS or PFOA. There's all the PFs, but PFAS is the normal for the entire list of compounds, and I'm not going to go into what they are. But I can tell you this: you're probably not going to have a problem, and you're not going to get away from them. But they cause potentially liver, kidney problems, as well as different types of implicated in potential carcinogens. Now, some of that's not proven. There's a lot of confounding factors, but it's interesting. You find them in everything from toothpaste to consumer goods such as dental floss, And the big one is cosmetics. People don't understand. You know, your eye's pretty sensitive, and here you are putting your eyeliner and your eyeshadow and all that, and many of those have Teflon C8 type products, which are what PFAS is related to in layman's terms, on your skin on a daily basis. And so you need to read and look and see what does not contain those items if you're concerned about those. And there's a lot we don't know about them, but what we do know is implicates them in certain health effects, certain ones. It's a large class of chemicals. There's over 5,000. So you really need to at least look at it and be careful. If you want to live clean and you want to try to prevent disease, which really is far more effective than treating disease, then I think you should really consider that. Um, you know, if you have a small one around the house, as you've heard the controversy, baby food and things like apple juice, which have a lot of arsenic and some of them have lead, different heavy metals from different pesticides that were used over the years and in the soils. Those can be problematic, especially for children, because they have much greater magnified effects on your kids than they do on you. Not good for you, but they're much worse when they're ingested by children or infants. So read the labels, keep up with the news, and be careful about what you buy. You want to buy the brands that are known not to have those chemicals in them or at much lower levels. That's pretty simple to do, and you know, as much time as we spend on computers these days or on your phone, it's not very hard to look those things up. They're constantly in our news. So those are home hazards. I've already told you radon's the number one. If you haven't tested your home for radon, please do it if you're in an area that even remotely looks like it may have radon. It's really important. That is really tough. Three packs of cigarettes a day if you're over the limit for radon. Even if you're a non-smoker, you're going to develop lung cancer, or there's a high probability if you're exposed to radon all the time, you and your children. So it's not something you want to really spend time not looking into. Easy to mitigate. $1,000. They put a pipe in your basement or in your crawl space and vent it out so it's not coming in the house. It's a colorless, odorless gas. So getting rid of it is a great thing and not very expensive. Mold. If you have mold in your house, you got to do something about it. It's not good for you. Chronic inflammation, as I've spoken many times before, is a real problem. You want to stay away from chronic inflammation. One of the ways to do that is to reduce your exposure to things like mold. Find out where the water is coming in or moisture. Find out why you have it and mitigate it. Change it. I don't care if you have to tear out drywall, remodel. It's a good time to remodel your bathroom, your kitchen. That's usually the areas you find it around your foundation. You need to do something about it. If you've got leaks in your roof that are going on your drywall or on your insulation, you need to fix it. Long-term exposure to mold, not a good thing. So, with that, now, lastly, I'll talk about workplace issues. And I've done a lot of expert witness work of causation of disease. Did this or that cause it at your work or at your home? If you're spray painting cars at home, that's a hobby. If you're not being very careful, or refinishing furniture can really have some effects on you. So you need to take the necessary precautions, get up to speed on the safety factors. Same thing at work. Work has material safety data sheets. You need to go look at them. If you don't understand them, you need to ask about them. You have a worker's right to know, so you need to be informed. It's your job to protect your health. So I strongly encourage you to do that. Remember, inhalation. Work in a well-ventilated place. If you work in a factory, shop, or any kind of place that doesn't have great ventilation and you can see dust particles in the air, that dust many times can contain all kind of things. And even if it's just dust like silica sand, it can cause real problems like silicosis, a lung disease that's very serious. So you need to make sure that you work in a well-ventilated place. If not, you need to talk to your employer about that. Any liquids you're exposed to, again, whether you work in a paint shop or whatever, you should have appropriate protection. I know that's a hassle, but you not only you are exposed at work, but you bring that home to your kids and your spouse to have your laundry done, et cetera, and you expose them in different ways to it. So I would caution you to just do the simple things that'll make a huge difference in prevention. With that, and this wonderful, beautiful Friday, which is going to post on Tuesday, this is Dr. Frank from Your Doctor Said What? You can find me on all major podcast platforms. Have a great day.
Remember, send your comments and questions to Dr. Frank at mdswpod@gmail.com.